Secretary, are you prepared to take the minutes?
Yeah, I'm ready when you are.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Okay, I believe we're recording now. We are now going to call the meeting to order. The time is now 7:12 p.m. I want to welcome everyone to the first meeting of the Executive Committee of Community Board 9 for 2022. My name is Fred Baptiste. I currently serve as the chair of Community Board 9. And just to start the meeting, I know that there are a number of people who are also here as participants. If we could just go around very briefly, and if we could just introduce ourselves so that way people, residents who are joining us as well, have an opportunity to know who's on the call.
So I will start. Go ahead, Mr.
I'll
Chair.
start. I'm Nicholas Almond. I'm a member at large and chair of Park Recreation and Culture Committee.
Hi, I'm Warren Burke. I am the first vice chair. Welcome, everyone.
Hi,
Mr. Burke also serves as the, and he also serves as the chair of Economic Development.
On a good day.
Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year to all. My name is Francisco Leopold. I'm the second vice chair and also serve as chair for the Health and Social Services Committee. Welcome.
Pat Moses, a ULIP chair. That's about it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Primo Lasana. I'm the chair of the Youth Services Committee.
Hi, everyone. My name is Linda Watson-Lord, and I am the interim secretary until we could fill that position effectively.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lorianne Woolsley, and I am a board member.
Good evening again. My name is Evelyn Williams, member at large.
Okay, thank you very much to everyone. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. We also have our district manager on the line, last but not least.
Forgot. Good evening. My name is Dante Arnwine. I'm the district manager for Brooklyn Community Board 9. Also, Christian LeBeau said that he will be a little late, just to let you know.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is Maya
All
there?
Right. I'm sorry, was that Ms. Williams?
Is Maya there?
Mia is not on tonight now.
Oh, she's not on tonight. Okay, good. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we are once again, so welcome everyone to our executive committee meeting. Very briefly, I would just like to remind everyone of our code of conduct. So we are going to waive the reading. The code of conduct is available on our community board website. Really, to boil it down to its essence, it's merely about we wish to have an atmosphere where we speak respectfully. It's through the exchange of ideas. We don't always need to agree, but we can disagree without being disagreeable. That is the atmosphere we want to foster. We welcome the exchange of ideas. That's what makes our district better. Okay, so with that being said, we are now going to go on to the next item on the agenda, public commentary. Dante, has anybody signed up for public commentary this evening?
I don't have a list of names of people that have signed up. With that being said, we have 3 individuals who are attendees who usually speak, so just FYI.
Okay, well, we'll do this. So for any of the attendees who are with us this evening, if you would like to speak, you can please use the raise hand function. You can raise your hand and we will add you to the speakers list. If you are attending via phone, you can use the star, and I was confused, star 9, correct? Use the star 9 function on your phone. That will indicate to us that you would like to raise your hand to be recognized, and we'll be able to to pull you into the panel from the attendees section. Dante, are you able to see, is there anyone who wishes to speak from the attendees?
Right now, no hands are raised.
Okay. All right. Well, again, I just wish to extend a welcome to all of our attendees who are with us this evening. So let's move on in the agenda. we'll go to committee chair check-ins. So let's see, in no particular order. Mr. Almanor, as I see you and your last name begins with A, we'll start with you.
That's been my story all my life, starting with A. Well, my check-in is basically, we had our meeting on the last week, and we had a presentation by the Ifeteo Cultural Arts Academy. And they're going to be moving into the Major Owens Cultural Center. They made a very interesting presentation. We learn a lot, and they are looking to collaborate and work on activities together. We had reports from the various institutions to which we have liaison. Most of them were very informative, and we're looking to reach out to many more other institutions and invite them to present. And we are setting up the agenda. We spoke about the community garden and some of the approach in trying to become more supportive and collaborative. So that's the extent of our meeting, basically. There were no voting items. We basically was an unfortunate meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions for the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs Committee, Chair? We will take a couple of questions. Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much, Mr. Almanor. We are now going to recognize our second vice chair, Francisca Leopold. Do you have a report for Health and Social Services? Oh, I'm sorry, you're on mute.
Thank you. Sorry. We met on January 6th. We had a pretty good turnout, and I guess, well, some things happened which disrupted the meeting, but we had some very interesting conversation. And one of the things we are planning for the first quarter, and we are looking to have a monthly health segment for the committee at large. So we will be posting when we are working. I am working with the public relations department at King's County Hospital. So then we'll send out the list of doctors who will be presenting and the topics that they will be addressing. So the community will know in advance, so they can invite persons that they know who may need this information. And another thing that we were trying to look at last year, which we didn't get underway much of, was the mental health awareness. So we are looking to bring that again, because we know that COVID have been around for a while, and we're not hoping that it would have been around for this long, but the kids have been affected, the parents are affected, but most the kids that we want to bring awareness, and parents, they could look and see the changes and when the moods and the different things, just to see when there are changes in their children and how they could seek for help and what they can do. And they themselves need help. So we will have a forum on mental health, and where persons could come and online, and they could ask questions and whatever concerns that they have. And also, we would like to have this year, maybe for the next quarter, do a suicide clinic, because there's a lot of suicide in young people, and they are not reported. Some have been reported and some are not being reported. So we just want to bring some awareness and so persons could come and talk and just, show them ways that, especially the young ones, especially the young people, and we really want to work with the schools to see whether we could have some segments to go in the school and sit down, and talk to the young people in school. So these are the things that we are looking to do for the first and second quarter of the year. This is my report.
Okay, thank you, Fran. This time we'll entertain. Are there any questions for the Chair of Health and Social Services? Okay, seeing none. Thank you for your report. We will now go on to And you know, let me change it up. I usually used to pick her last. The chair, the ULURP chair, Ms. Moses, do you have a report?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pat. I'm sorry, did you say you had a report or?
I'm trying to unmute myself. I can't unmute myself.
You are unmuted. We can hear you.
We can hear, yes,
You can hear me?
yes.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at, it looked like it's mute, but it looked like I couldn't unmute myself, but you can still hear me. Good thing I didn't say anything bad. Anyway, I was reappointed as the chair to the ULURP committee, and I held my first meeting on January 11th, and our minutes have been submitted. There was really nothing new on the old business for the Fenimore Street application. It appears that there's no action or movement at this point. And so we're just waiting for DCP. Also, the committee, I sent a copy of the letter to the committee so they can review it. I think it was to you, Fred, from the Fenimore Block Association. So that was actually sent to the committee. Only new business we had was 990 Franklin Avenue. 990 Franklin Avenue is a six-story building. I think it has 168 residents there. Will have it, and 84 enclosed parking spaces. It's my understanding that it's a R6 zoning, which means 6 to 8, that means that they can build as of right. Now, that's what I have thus far. If anything changes, then, you know, we'll know about that. And basically,
Ms. Moses, are you still there? I'm not sure. Well, can everyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure if I was the one that froze. Ms. Moses.
I think she got muted, or she muted herself by mistake. Good, she's good.
did y'all hear me? Did y'all hear me before?
No.
Or was I talking to myself?
We lost you for a second there. We didn't lose
Yeah,
you.
well, I tell you what, you can read a copy of my minutes and everything is in there.
Okay,
Okay?
thank
I don't
you.
know what's going on over here. I guess I'm not supposed to talk.
You have the floor, Ms. Moses. You have the floor. We didn't do
I
anything.
know, but I don't know where I left off at because I was just talking. I was just talking.
We
So
got
anyway.
we got most of what you said. We lost you at the word basically.
Okay, but you got 990 Franklin Avenue, am I correct?
Yes.
Yes, we did
Okay.
get that. Yes.
So just to close, you can read my minutes. And then our next meeting will be held February 8th. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Moses. Are there any questions for the ULURP chair? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on. We are going
I'm sorry, I
to.
joined late. I'm sorry for that. This is Felice Robinson.
No, no worries. How you doing, Felice? Happy New Year and great to see you.
Happy New Year. It's great seeing you all. Thank you.
Okay, we are in committee reports right now. So we are now going to hear from.
There was a question from the attendees. I'm not sure.
You know, we can recognize the question. We'll take one question.
Okay, give me 1 second. All right, the question is from Maxine Barnes, so she should be coming in right now. All right, looks like Maxine is in. Maxine, you're muted.
Yeah, Ms. Barnes, yes, I think you should be on. Yes, you have. I think you have a question. You have the floor. You have a question for the ULURP chair?
Yes, I received the letter from the Fenimore Block Association that the chair lady of ULIP, Ms. Moses, sent out. Thank you, Pat. But I never received the updated application that was requested by one of the attendees, one of the ULIP committee members, in fact. Never received. Dante, you look like I'm speaking another language, and I've never been accused of that, but I'll speak slowly. Never received the current pre-application for Fenimore Street Block Association's rezone.
The answer very simply is there is no current application. Any materials that have been done have already been distributed. There has been no movement on this. So aside from the update that we gave a couple of meetings ago, the action that we took in terms of the executive committee was going to provide oversight. There have been no further conversations, no further meetings. There haven't been any applications, no updates or anything else that have come to the board. So at this time, there's just nothing to report.
Hey, Fred, it's Warren. I just want to note that I find her comments abusive, and she doesn't have to speak slowly to Dante, because Dante is very educated and can integrate comments. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we are now going to move on. We are going to go, well, listen, Warren, as long as I have you and your mic is on, do you have a report for economic development?
Yes, I do. We had a meeting, I don't remember when, it was like last week. And we are looking towards, number one, creating a new shop local for the benefit of our board, of our merchants in the spring. Number two, I reported on the green market, which is just doing terrific. In fact, it was doing so terrific that they decided to continue it through the winter. We also have Test and Trace hooked onto that. And it's just a good combination. And that's my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions at this time for the Chair of Economic Development?
I have a question. Yes, I have a question, if I may.
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Elmore. Go ahead.
Beside the Friday night farm stand, is there any are there any other plans to produce other kind of groceries to people in the community? Because I know the five stands only bring fresh fruit only.
Yes, there's two things. Number one, we're working on a way to get the people affected by the associated closing to get their canned goods and regular groceries. And number two is stage 2 of the farmland. There's a box program, which is very successful in other communities that are similar to ours, and we're working on doing that. But it's not our decision. We can make the suggestions, but then Grow New York City has to agree, and most importantly, find funding.
Right. And just to add to that, and so the thing is, some of the conversations are also are being restarted, as well as we've had a number of changes in terms of elected officials. So some of the partners have changed, so they're in the process of getting their offices set up. But definitely, we're still working on other ways to see if we can mitigate the impacts. So those are ongoing conversations. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Let me see. Youth Services, Mr. Lasana, do you have a report?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Omicron variant has been disruptive to the Youth Services Committee's plans. we had been in the process of confirming a space. We got an offer from a school, which was really nice. And, our previous meeting was in early December. And then as we came back together in early January, it felt as though pushing for an event in March that was in person would have been out of touch with the current reality. I think that the vast majority of the committee, not the vast majority, all of the committee was in agreement that we should push our Jobs Expo into May. And so that's kind of what we're doing, is putting a little bit of a pause on our plans to push forward an in-person event. So much of it is dependent on vendors as well as participating schools. And right now, as I'm sure everybody here knows, schools are completely overwhelmed with teachers being out, with staff being out, with student absenteeism, and promoting an in-person event in this moment is not the right call. So we're taking about a 1 month little pause on things and reassessing, and probably pushing the date into May. Seems like things are beginning to take a turn for the better, but we live in a year of unknowns and surprises. And so we're going to come back together. No worries. We're going to come back together and reassess. And that's kind of where we are at the moment. We did, again, reject kind of the offer from the Major R. Owens Community Center, but perhaps we'll reapproach if we have some opportunity in May. But for now, we're kind of leaving schools be while they deal with a crisis that is frankly unique to schools. Attendance was good. We had about eight folks there. Any questions that anybody has for youth services? I am here and ready to take them.
Hey, it's Warren. How are you, Primo?
Hi, Warren.
What did you reject from the Armory?
Sorry, what was your question? Something about the Armory?
Yes, what did you reject from them?
Oh, their offer, I think that we discussed during the last meeting, which was to host us, but at a cost of $150 per hour.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are there any other questions? We'll take another question for Youth Services Chair. Okay, seeing none, thank you very much, Primo. All right, I see we also have with us Carmen. I see you online. Do you have a report for transportation?
No, I actually don't have a report because our liaison from DOT, Diana, never responded to the invitation to attend the meeting, nor to my request for an update on the items that we had left open during our last meeting. So the committee just basically, spent time. We did have some residents from Lefferts join the meeting. So we just talked about the back and forth concerning their speed hump. The fact that it was approved in 2013 and they were told that they were just waiting for a letter from the board. And then now the most recent request got totally denied. So we just trying to figure out why the back and forth, why the approval and then the denial, and they went on ahead and put a speed camera on the block. So obviously they are aware of the speeding situation there. But again, Diana did not attend the meeting nor responded to our request for updates on all of the items that she was supposed to report back to us. So hopefully she'll attend the February meeting or let us know what's going on. I know that they have a change in administration, but she didn't indicate one way or the other what was going on. She just ignored our communication.
Okay. Quick question, actually. So with regards to that, so from my understanding, so there was a request for a speed hump, which they didn't get. They put a speed camera. Is it at the same location where they were looking for the speed hump?
Mm-hmm. On Lefferts between Bedford and Washington.
Okay.
They had approved it in 2013. They had got an email saying that it was approved. that it was pending communication, it was pending our support, the board support. So when we were like, okay, I mean, did anybody ask the board support? And then when we went back to check on it and said, well, what's the status? Then that response came back saying, oh, you know, there was a study done, and as a result of that study, it was determined that, you know, that was not a feasible location for a speed hump. And like 2 weeks later, I don't even think it was 2 weeks, a speed camera pops up in the place. So that's
question, have they reported, have they reported, is there any change? Are cars slowing down now, or?
Well, yeah, the resident says as the cars speed up and they notice that there's a speed camera, they put on brakes or make a quick U-turn and go the other way. Because the camera, you know, I found out about it when I turned that corner one day and I looked up and I was like, whoa! I mean, I don't speed, so it really wouldn't have been an issue for me. But I noticed and, you know, and I was like, whoa, let me make sure I'm doing 25. So, you know, as people drive down Lefferts Avenue, which they used to, once they get across Bedford, they just want to speed on down to Flatbush Avenue. So now, you know, it has deterred that speeding, but again, we want clarification as to why the approval and then the denial of the speed hump. Like, what's that about?
Okay. Yeah, if we can get an answer on that. And I'm interested to know if this is supposed to be in lieu of that. Because I think if the main thing is to deter the speeding, obviously when these things start popping up on the different, you know, transportation apps and everything like that, people all of a sudden realize this is not the zone to do it. But yeah,
But
with
with speed camera, once you get a certain distance, you can rev up again. It only.
But they'll do the same thing with the speed hump. Yeah, but they'll do the same thing with the speed hump. Once you get over, you know, I mean, you know, obviously you would go ahead, but.
Yeah, so. But you know, I mean, normally they, you know, it will slow them down because they normally do 2 anyway. I mean, I know on my block, you know, when they come around the corner, they speed up, and then when they see the speed hump, they slow down, and then they speed up, and then if they don't slow down, their car gonna go up in the air and back down again.
Right.
So it slows them down somewhat.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think it's interesting just to explore as well, because I think just from the little bit I remember, speed humps are a whole big conversation. They've got to do, you know, studies, and they've got to do all this other stuff in terms of, and sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, and more often they don't. Speed cameras seem to be a little bit easier in terms of being able to get those. There's less red tape. Now, obviously, before we start asking for speed cameras all over the district, it's just a matter of, you know, perhaps there's more conversation about what do they do and what are the effects in the district. Do they accomplish it, and at what cost as well?
Yeah,
so that's
but
something like, you know, we can take offline.
Yeah, well, worth noting is that the residents of Lefferts, they have submitted the speed hump not only for Lefferts, but I think they got Maple, Midwood, some other streets for the not the discretionary, the one, the whatever. Well, you know what I'm talking about, the budget, not discretionary budget. You know, they
participatory budget. Yeah.
They submitted it as a proposal, so it'll be, you know, I will encourage all of the board members to go in there. I gave my support. So the more support they get, the more likely they will get on the ballot for the people to vote for that project. So the board members, you know, if they get a chance, they go in there and look at the proposal that already have been submitted and give your support for those that you think are beneficial to the community. But they included other blocks as well for the participatory budget voting. And anything else that any other committee has in mind, they can also put a proposal together for participatory budget and put it, you know, and, you know, go for it. Particularly for environmental, because I know Matthew Eugene had given a lot of money for those litter baskets. he had dedicated a lot of funds for litter baskets. So maybe the environmental committee want to also ask for more. Now that we were talking about spending the board's budget on litter basket, you can submit it as a proposal for participatory budget.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for that. And well, I took a lot of your time with my questions. Are there any other questions for the Chair of Transportation?
Mr. Chair, I don't have a question. I just have a comment, because as the president for the block association for those 2 blocks, I was the one who brought in we took in all the signage from the residents, put in the application and everything. And as Ms. Martinez well said, from 2013, because we didn't, my street were on Lefferts between Rogers and Bedford. And then we put in for Bedford to Washington. And they have had several incidents, especially close to Washington. Someone almost died down there. Someone came trying to beat the light and hit about a whole row of cars close to the apartment buildings. And the place where we were, because when I met with the person and I spoke to them, I told them that we need a camera on Rogers Avenue on Lefferts, because it's just like a speedway over there. And that's where we really needed a camera. And then they came, it's just like, and I wasn't even aware of the cover right in the corner until Ms. Martinez told me about it. And then other residents started telling me about it. And it's a money-making thing for them. It's not really, we've been talking about it. We have had meetings at the board, and it is something that Ms. Martins have been going through. The board have been investigating it, and then say, okay, well, they don't think that they should put on. I told them that we have speed bumps from North Strand up to Bedford. So what is the issue going over to Washington? So we need to get those speed bumps, and the residents, they've been hounding me, and they like, I said, okay, we have the board, we have the committees at the board. You could call, you could go there, whoever you have to call. So they've been pushing it, they've been pushing for it, because they are out there, they have children, especially in the summer. And it's like, and with those motorcycles, they just drive down there like it's a racetrack. So I really don't know what DOT is doing. And as far as I'm concerned, they put up cameras and they take up your license plate and they just send you a ticket, and they get money from you. But what happened to the persons that those cars are racing and putting them in trouble? So something needs to be done about it.
Okay. And I'm going to throw this out. I think, Dante, you made a request to DOT to get a status on all the speed bump applications in the district. Is that correct?
Yes, I submitted a formal request for all open, closed, pending requests that was submitted by CB9 between present and like 2011, I think, or 2013. It definitely, was before 2013, because I'm aware of this situation. But yeah, I mean, it's probably a voluminous request, so it probably will take them time to get it, but it has been submitted. So, once we get that information back, we can do our cross-reference and figure out exactly what's left and start, working with DOT on them.
I believe they say it will be June 2022 before you get a response.
Yeah.
Well,
but it is in, and hopefully we get some data with respect to that, and we can actually get some follow-up. So yeah, it's a long process, but the process has started. And I do want to recognize, we're going to move on, but I do want to recognize Felice Robertson. She had her hand raised. Do you have a question for the Transportation Chair?
Yes, I submitted or maybe to Dante, I submitted a picture of an accident that occurred 2 days ago. It was snowing. I don't know, was he able to retrieve that? Because that goes back to my question. Why don't we have some sort of indicator of the corner of Montgomery and Washington so that we can prevent these accidents from reoccurring? So I just wanted to make sure that he received that picture that's submitted and on the website there. I should have made a copy to Carmen. That's what I meant to do.
I did receive it, and I can definitely forward it.
Oh, excellent. Okay. All right. So we would like to use that as more evidence on how pertinent it would be to have something, you know, there to prevent these accidents. I mean, we can't even cross the street, let alone cars hitting one another. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. All right, and Dante, I'm sure will follow, and the team will follow up on that, I'm sure. Okay, thank you very much for that. And thank you very much, Carmen, for your report for transportation. I see our chair for environmental protection, Christian.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry for being late. Just 3 quick updates, if I may. I would just flag for folks on the call that the Environmental Protection Committee, we applied for a mini grant last month with Citizens Committee. And so we would use that grant to move the ball on some of our priorities, but we won't know for several months if we get it or not. We should know at the end of the month if we'll be a finalist. So I'll certainly keep the executive board up to date in terms of what comes out of that, but I just want to flag that for the group. And I know that Carmen, I believe it was Carmen, mentioned the participatory budgeting. We also filled out a participatory budgeting proposal to move the ball on one of our priorities, which is the planting of more rain gardens across the district. So please log, and that's for Councilmember Rita Joseph's district. If you live in that district or you're interested, please jump on the participatory budgeting website, search for rain gardens, and then you'll be able to find our proposal. We even note that it comes from the EP committee, and it's helpful if you endorse it and or comment on the proposal. That always gets us a better chance of having that proposal being approved. The next thing is regarding a motion that we passed last week. The Environmental Protection Committee voted unanimously to pass a motion that does 2 things, both advancing the ball on one of our 4 priorities. The first thing is we've drafted a letter to Councilmember Hudson and Councilmember Joseph, which we would like to copy the borough president on. And Fred, we thought we would copy you as well, or happy to discuss whatever you think is best in terms of how to bring you into that. But we just want to make sure that you're fully aware of it. So the letter is basically, the letter requests more attention to sanitation issues and the implementation of a pilot program that would modernize sanitation or trash pickup in our district based off of a pilot that is being executed in other parts of New York City, and is a pilot that a council member who just came into office in January in Chelsea and Manhattan, that he is trying to pilot in his district. So we're trying to help connect some of those dots for our new council members and encourage them to think about ways that we can modernize trash pickup and do it in a spirit of partnership, and do it in a spirit of building the relationships, because we know they're new council members and we would like to work constructively with them. And then the other thing that the motion decided was that we would like to replace some of the trash cans in our district. Our members, and particularly a big shout out to Martina, went around and we surveyed the district to see what are the high traffic areas where either there's old school wire receptacle trash cans that exist, or there's no trash can, and where would it be helpful to implement or install a new modern trash can. So we came up with about 20 different locations across the district. We narrowed it down to just the 10 most high traffic areas, and we agreed in this motion to propose that CB9 uses some of our funding, and I estimate that it costs no more than $9,000 to replace those trash cans, similar to the way that CB9 did last year with the Adopt-A-Can program. We don't want to put the burden entirely on CB9, which is why I applied for this citizens for this mini grant from Citizens Committee. And part of that money, if we get it, we would use to replace additional trash cans. But the committee did vote on this and pass this motion unanimously. So I sent the exact locations of those 10 receptacles to our district managers and our chair just a few minutes before the meeting. So I don't think folks have got a chance to really dig in just yet, but I'm just flagging for everyone's awareness. And then the last thing is we decided on a location for our spring fair, and the spring fair will be held at Sterling and Rogers at Mark and Jason's playground. We had decided on April 30th as the date, but we have to go back to drawing board and reconfigure, because I think that date doesn't work for our committee members, all of our committee members, but we will be moving forward with that spring fair, and it'll be at Mark and Jason's playground. And a big shout out to Teresa on that. She really led the charge on that issue. And last thing I would just say about the trash receptacles, we wanted to do this in a way that was very equitable and in a way that thought about our district as a whole, so that the 10 different locations, high traffic areas that we chose are evenly split between north of Empire Boulevard and south of Empire Boulevard. So we have 5 north of the boulevard and 5 south. That's all I have, and thank you, and I welcome comments, questions, and concerns.
Okay, do we have any questions? I have a couple of questions myself, but do we have any questions for the Chair of Environmental Protection?
I know Ms. Robinson had some issues, but she brought up at our meeting in terms of the environmental committee, because we referred her to the environmental committee. And Ms. Robinson, I think you need to say something in reference to what your issues were in terms of a cleaning plant. Isn't that what you said?
Hello, you referring to me, Felice?
Yes.
Okay, so we spoke of the building that, or the, not building, the space that was once called Seacrest. And there they used to clean hotel sheets. So they use all types of chemicals for this. But their dumping ground was the soil. So what we discovered, unfortunately, that people had developed cancer from this. So we're asking that they really do their research in the soil, because they dumped the chemicals in the soil. Please, because for, these employees to have experiences, and I understand a few have passed, this is very alarming and concerning.
Okay, very quickly to respond to that, Ms. Robertson, if you have any information with that, please send that to the district office as soon as possible. If there is a toxic condition there, that is responsibility of the property owner, whoever owns it at this point, or whatever their legal thing is. That needs to get cleaned up. Typically, I know that these things, when they do the ULURP, yeah, they have to do whatever remediation. But if there's a bad situation there, that doesn't wait until they figure out who's developing and what's going on top of that. So that should be something we should be pursuing right off the bat immediately. We can't have a toxic waste dump right in the middle of the district. We're not going to tolerate that. That's not going to happen. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, and we're going to make sure we get right on that.
Okay, very good. I will speak to the very person that her daughter is presently experiencing this awful experience. Okay.
Yeah, any information you have, let us know so that way we can get the appropriate agencies on that.
Very good, sir.
Thank you, Felice. Thank you for bringing that to the attention of the board. If you could send me the address, in the morning, so it's at the top of my inbox, that will allow me to do a little digging on that specific lot, so we can figure out if any abatements happened. So if you could send that to me, that would be most helpful. Thank you.
Very good, will do.
Ms. Robertson, thanks for bringing that up. I wasn't aware of the situation. Could you copy me in when you write the district managers so I can see what the location is as well?
Can I give it to Mr. Dante and
I'll connect us all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll make sure.
connect, yeah.
Once it all gets it, we'll make sure we report it to you as well. So Kristen, you'll have it as well.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you all.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions? I do have a couple of questions for you, Christian, but are there any other questions for, hold on, I see Dante, I think there's an attendee with their hand up.
All right, give me 1 second. We have Martina Victoria, who he was speaking about earlier. Let me, 1 second. Okay, Martina should be coming in right now. Martina, okay. Yeah, we're good.
Yes, I just unmuted myself. Hello, everyone. I have a quick question for Felice. Could you tell us now where this location is? I would really be interested in knowing where this is.
It's right on Franklin, across from 960 Franklin, where the Spice Factory is, right across the street from it. So
Okay.
that's Montgomery, Franklin.
Okay.
Brown, I
What did
believe.
they dump exactly? You said it's toxic, but what was it? Do you know?
Well, from what was told to me was the cleaning fluid that they use to make the sheets clean and white. They somehow dumped the chemicals, on the ground.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that, Ms. Victoria. Okay. So, Christy, so really quickly. So I see that you said that you have a letter that you drafted. So there's some requests that you wanted to have with regards to sanitation and also requests for trash cans in the district. So this is for you, and also just to remind all the committees as well. So basically the committees serve as, you develop the recommendations and the asks, but these are things that will come before the executive committee. So we'll review it as well in case we have any additional questions, or if we want to refine it, or if there's anything that we need to refer back to the committee in terms of developing further. From there, remember, all the actions that we do are approved by the board. They're board functions, developed by the committees, but then they become board functions and board motions and board actions. So with that being said, what I would like to do, I don't know if we've had an opportunity as an executive committee to review any of the documentation or the asks, but perhaps what we may be able to do is during your chairman's, the committee reports, if you provide the information, we can make sure the materials go out to the board and we can actually do the approvals at the board meeting.
Thanks, Fred. At which board meeting would the approvals be done?
We'll do it in January. Typically, we would try and approve it at this meeting. So we would have the documents, we'll look it over, do executive committee approval, forward it to the board meeting for the final review and approval by the board. As we won't, I don't think we're in a position to approve it tonight as an executive committee because we haven't seen them or haven't enough time to review. We might be able to do is actually just have that go before the board. But that means that all the materials have to go up and you may need to present just so that way people have an idea of the background, what exactly it is we're approving as a board, so that way we can go forward with the actions.
Okay, no problem. Happy to do that. So is that something that we would do then in February at the next executive committee meeting?
Depends. If you have any actions that can wait, absolutely, we can do it at the exec and approve it at the February general board meeting. If they're more urgent, we can put them on the agenda for January's board meeting. You would just have to send them, we just send them the material in advance, and the board, if they approve it or have any changes, they'll make it there.
Got it. Okay. So I want to make sure I'm understanding well then. So it sounds like it has to be approved at the general body meeting.
Correct.
Once
The board needs to
executive.
approve.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, we would be more than, I'll be at the meeting next week. I'm more than happy to present in a concise manner on it. And then if the whole board would like to vote on it in the general board meeting next week, I think that'd be great.
Okay. All right then. All right. So we'll work offline. So that'll probably be part of your committee, during the committee reports. That'll be an item. We'll just make sure that all the materials get forwarded so that they're made available to the public and the board members as well. For the review and commentary, we can do it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So with that, are there any other questions for last call for environmental protection? One last shot at him. You get off. Okay, Mr. LeBeau. You get off this time. All right. Thank you very much. And I'm looking, because I always do this. Are there any chairs that I did not call? And I apologize in advance if I missed you. Are there any chairs that did not have an opportunity to give a report this evening? Okay, seeing none, I do want to thank all the chairs for all the hard work that you've done over the last year, last several months. And you know, and please extend my thanks to your committees as well for their diligence and you know, their commitment to the district. Okay, so with that, we are going to move on to the admin check-in. We have our district manager, Dante. Do you have a report for the committee, the executive committee?
Yes, I do have a report. It is relatively brief, as not much has happened in January, but yeah, I just wanted to remind people that the district office, the board office is open. So if you know of anyone who needs assistance, please, you know, direct them toward the board office. We would prefer appointment only. Obviously, due to the pandemic, we want to limit exposure. So if they could schedule an appointment, we can set up the office in a way where everyone is safe. So if you know anyone, please don't hesitate to direct them to the board office. The board office is open. Next on my list is that the district service cabinet did not meet this January. We will start meeting again, resume our meetings in February. I wanted to give the agencies enough time, obviously due to a new administration. Wanted to make sure that our liaisons were set and we knew exactly who they were before we started those meetings, so information doesn't get lost in the shuffle. And so we will reconvene those meetings in February, and representation from the new council member offices. A representative will be requested from their offices so they can provide updates from their elected officials. Next, I believe that everyone should have already received this, but if you are serving on a committee, or if you're serving as a secretary on a committee, we do have a template for committee minutes. So if you're a committee out there who struggles to find someone to take the minutes, we do have a template. I believe that will make it much easier for the individual who is taking minutes. So if you need that, please just shoot me an email and I will send that template over to you. I do encourage everyone to use that template just so, you know, moving forward, everything is uniform. Also, right before the start of the new year, maybe even the last day of December, our former comptroller, they did an audit of the 18 community boards to determine compliance with the New York City Charter and the administrative code requirements for public meetings, hearings, and websites. After reviewing the audit, I'm pleased to say that, you know, we got through that audit relatively unscathed. There were some minor issues that need to be addressed. There were a couple of issues with our website, but since we're developing a new website, those issues will be addressed. And so anything that came out in the audit that we were able to take care of and address and provide that information, we did do that. That audit report is available to the public. You can go onto the comptroller's website to find that report. You can email the district office and we can provide that report to you as well. And we will also put that report up on our website for access. So if you are interested in reading the report, please reach out to the board office. Next thing, as it pertains to the board office budget, currently in our OTPS, or operating budget, we have $14,618.05. That number will obviously fluctuate as bills need to be paid, but that's currently what we have in our operating budget, so that's what we're working with. I do encourage, even though it's just a number, I do encourage committees, you know, plan big, and we will see exactly what we can do within the board budget to accommodate whatever it is that you need for your committee. So if it's renting equipment, you know, looking for a venue, whatever it may be, you know, dream big. We want to make sure that the events that we're putting on for the public are effective and professional. And so if there's anything that we can do on the board office side to accommodate, we will. So please, it's just a number. Dream big. We'll look at the proposals and then we'll move on from there. And then the last thing that I wanted to bring before the executive committee is that our current Zoom license is set to expire on February 7th. Now the Zoom license, including the webinar functions, that will cost the board approximately $2,500 to renew that license. Now, over the past couple of days, some news has come out of Albany with the governor signing the extension to allow virtual access to meetings for public bodies across the state. So now we have some clarity on where we're at. So we will need to extend and renew our Zoom license. I just want to note that if I recall correctly, maybe in November, the board did vote to continue to use the webinar format. And so I wanted to bring this before the executive committee, asking the approval to go ahead and purchase a new Zoom license so we can continue on this virtual format through the rest of the year. So with that, that is the end of my report.
Okay, thank you, Dante. Are there any questions for the district manager?
Yes, I think we need an update listing on the newly elected officials, because I think some of them normally come into our meetings, but I have no clue as to who they are.
Understood. So what I will do is newly elected officials for the 9th community district, I'll just put a list together and just send it out to the whole board so everyone has it. And then we'll also add it to our website. Okay.
Okay, but don't we have special people that come into our meetings like the ULUP? I mean, don't they assign people? Because elected officials themselves don't come in, they have a representative and I don't know who they are.
Yeah, understood.
I'll take that one.
So those
so a lot of them are still setting up offices, and that's one of the challenges where it's like they're still getting their offices set up, still getting staffers on. So the one thing that our district office did do is they did do the outreach to the elected officials. So we are inviting them to come to CD9. We would like to have introductory meetings where they can come and introduce themselves to the board and to the districts. And absolutely, we're encouraging them to make sure they get their staff set up so that way they'll have the appropriate liaison to the different committee meetings. Dante already spoke to that with respect to the district service cabinet, making sure that they have representation there as well. So it's coming, I guess is the answer. It is coming, but that is definitely an ask that the office has done. All right, are there any other, I'm sorry. What I saw, Christian, yeah, you have a question? You have a question for the district manager?
Yes, quick comment and then a question. First, I think it's great that the audit report came back and it was pretty much pretty good, all things considered. The report, I think from what I saw, was really a lot focused on transparency, if I could boil it down in one word. And I think that's great that our board and district managers and chair are doing a great job in that regard. I just had one quick question in relationship to it. It mentions that it will be shared or was done in conjunction with, I don't recall the exact wording, but the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs. And I'm just curious, how do we work or partner with that office?
Well, I'll be direct. I have yet to receive anything from that agency. With the new administration going in, hopefully that agency will be more engaging. I can tell you on the other side, some other agencies have already reached out to us. So hopefully that theme happens across agencies. If we want a representative from cultural affairs to come from any agency, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I will put in the request. If we're looking for a liaison, like usually what happens is we work with the agencies where our issue that essentially cover our issues, right? And we usually don't get a lot of inquiries or issues pertaining to cultural affairs. But if if that's something that the committee, Nicholas is here, if that's something that his committee would like, I have no problem reaching out to that to that agency. But as of now, I have yet to have any correspondence from that agency specifically.
Well, it's
So
definitely,
I might have not said it well. It's the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs.
So you're talking about the CAU.
Yeah. How do we work with them?
So the CAU, well, let me start like this. They are one of the agencies or offices that has reached out. I've already had a conversation with their commissioner. The commissioner spoke to all the district managers of Brooklyn. So that's been very nice, because even starting this job, I didn't hear from the other CAU commissioner prior. So this is a good start. What happens is, so for example, I don't know if you all know Paco, but he tends to go to the transportation committee meetings. He had tweeted that lights were out, I think at Lincoln Road and Nostrand the other day. And so his tweet got to me. I reached out to community affairs to put them on it. We worked back and forth, right? Going to the mayor's office helps because it can speed things up, obviously, depending on what it is. But usually when something pressing is happening in our district, we like to keep them informed to let them know like this is happening. And if they can put whatever resources that they can on it, we do request that.
Thank you.
Yeah, when I get to my chair's report, I do want to touch on that a little bit as well, because I think that's an excellent question and an excellent point. And I wanted to go and talk about just really very briefly, because I can't wait to talk about it. But I think in terms of the audit, I was very pleased to see that a lot of the things we tried to institute were done and recognized in terms of the audit. Now, this is not to say that they didn't find any points with respect to the way boards were operating. But I think especially looking at it in the context of all the Brooklyn Borough boards, I think we did very well in a number of places. There were certain things that I think that even though noted as issues or discrepancies, those are things I think internally we had really identified and we've been working to kind of address, i.e. the website. I think we knew that there were deficiencies and issues with that. So as they pointed it out in the period that they looked at, those are things we were already on and taking care of and addressing. I think was very good. And I think there were a number of issues that were borough-wide, where I think every board, relatively every board got hit on a certain number of points. So again, I think, and I think our district manager's enthusiasm about the support is well placed in terms of we're doing very well. I think we're demonstrating that we're committed to the service. We're talking about transparency. We're improving communications. The things we've been talking about as a board, the things that he's been talking about as our district manager since he's come on board. And I think we're in a very good place, and I think we're getting better. So, at this point, I just really want to thank Dante and the district office team for everything they do with respect to that. Okay. All right. So I think unless there are any other questions for the district manager, we're going to move on the agenda to the chairman's check-in, which I think is a perfect segue, especially given that point we just talked about. Okay. I have a number of items that I've listed on the agenda. We're going to jump around just a little bit. So I think we just discussed the audit report. And again, I think I was very happy with the results. And I think that, that's the reason why we do these things, not necessarily for the gotchas, but to figure out the places where we can strengthen and improve. And I think we've already kind of got an idea of where we're going with that. Technology, we're leveraging that a lot more. Some of them might be issues in terms of public policy that we'll have to have conversations with the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs, with Borough Hall, and a number of other partners as well to make sure that we're able to deliver, to make sure that service delivery is happening and advocacy is happening and that we're open and transparent as a board. But again, thanks for that. Going back a little bit, and I point all the members of the executive committee and those who are present today with respect to the bylaws amendment. One of the things, and the virtual meetings, and then those two go hand in hand. One of the big challenges, I think that, when we were looking towards the October timeframe, going into November, we were hoping that we might have hit, we were hitting, getting some changes where it was getting better. Omicron comes and it just hit us, it hit the entire nation like a sledgehammer. And it really made us rethink as a board in terms of what are we looking at how do we continue to operate, especially in light of, I think there were a number of legislative or administrative tools that were repealed in terms of we were scheduled to go back to in-person meetings. Open meetings law was going to go back. We have a vacancy for our executive secretary that we need to fill, but our bylaws are very specific in terms of the way we do it. It calls specifically for a in-person paper ballot where all the members write it down and they are counted in person. Obviously, we're in the middle of a pandemic. That was going to be something that, as a board, it was just a risk that was too great. So thankfully, the legislature and the governor have signed, and I just saw an email about it, where the legislation was on the governor's desk to extend the open meetings law for the duration of the COVID emergency, which means that public agencies are still permitted to use virtual meetings in order to conduct their business and handle the business the way we have, which enables us to go to the next piece there with respect to the Bylaws Amendment. For those who are not familiar with it, this is a tool that we've actually used, and this will probably be our third time using it. As we've been doing virtual meetings, again, our bylaws call for in-person, which means that in order to have virtual elections, we need to amend our bylaws. So as opposed to making it a permanent amendment, we do it so that way it sunsets after every election in contemplation of the legislation may revert back to in-person meetings or if it changes. So it sunsets after every election. So we need to reinstitute or we need to re-implement the amendment so that way we can have our elections for executive secretary to fill that position. So the bylaws amendment was sent out to all the board members in accordance with the bylaws. This evening, we are going to vote on it as an executive committee to approve, and it'll be voted on by the full board at the January meeting. The language has been very consistent over the last couple of times we use it. It authorizes us to meet electronically for the January meeting. For the February meeting. It authorizes us to do virtual votes for the February meeting. It's effective immediately, and it's only for that instance. And I would advise everyone that we're going to probably, if the emergency continues, we may end up doing it again in May. Not to say that this is something pro forma, but this is something that we would need to do to make sure that we're in compliance with our own bylaws. Next, and I really probably should have led with this a long time ago, I want to thank two chairs, or two members of the board. Well, actually, let me go back. Two members of the board who have stepped up to become committee chairs. Ms. Pat Moses has come back, as she's agreed to come back and chair the ULURP committee for one more round. I want to thank her. She was very effective, extremely effective the last couple of years as the ULURP chair. And, you know, she's a soldier and she has the board's best interest, and she's come back and she is chairing our ULURP committee. And I want to thank her for her professionalism and diligence and her steady hand in coming back to chair ULURP. I also want to recognize and thank Ms. Beverly Newsom, who has agreed to serve as chair of our housing committee as well. So she had her first meeting last week. She was able to introduce herself to the committee. And as I say that, she is definitely not a stranger to the housing committee or to this board. She's a longtime member as well. And we wish her luck. But again, she's a longtime member. She's been in the trenches for a long time, and we're looking forward to her stewardship of the housing committee. Also, additionally, and I should have shouted this out earlier, we did send notice that Ms. Linda Watson-Lord has agreed to be our interim executive secretary. The position has been vacant for some time now, but she's agreed to step into the gap to serve this district and this board. We are ecstatic to have her here in that capacity. Ms. Watson-Lord, we thank you for stepping up and taking the leadership and taking these minutes. And with that respect, we are also reminding everyone that we are having elections upcoming for the executive secretary position. So we had tabled it at the last meeting. We will be taking it off the table at the January meeting. Anyone who wishes to run will be able to nominate themselves at that time. But again, we thank Ms. Watson-Lord for taking the reins at this time until we're able to fill the vacancy. Sorry, let me just make sure I'm going through my checklist. CB9 membership. We are now at that time of the year where the borough president's office has already sent out notices with respect to applications for membership on Community Board 9. It's a great way to serve this district. It is very important, it's critical, and we definitely invite people who are interested in serving that capacity to definitely place their applications. The applications are done through the Brooklyn Borough President's office. My understanding is they might be having some issues, or there might be some revamping that's being done, but those applications would be available through there. I do want to say that one of the things we want to do is actually have an open house, so to speak, for Community Board 9, in which we talk about the community board, what the functions are, how we operate, the things we're responsible for in the district. I think this is going to be great both for members in terms of it clarifies and it kind of level sets what the board is and what it's charged with doing. And also it's an opportunity for anybody who's interested, who may have just seen community boards or articles about community boards, but don't really know what they do. So this is an opportunity to come, hear about the community board, hear about CB9 specifically, and hopefully be able to provide information and help people, decide if this is something they want to pursue in terms of being a member of the board. So when the notice goes out, we're looking tentatively at a date for January 31st. This is I think the preliminary deadlines are in mid to late February. So we want to have enough time so people will be able to attend, view the presentation, ask questions as well, and apply if they're so interested. But an actual invite will go out shortly, and we'll be publicizing that as well through our social media and on our website. Our economic development chair had already discussed this a little bit with respect to Grow NYC farm stand. I just want to say that that has definitely been one of the highlights to see the way that has come together in terms of we were able to reach out and Grow NYC became a partner, a fantastic partner, phenomenal partner. We did this with our elected officials, our former borough president, Eric Adams, who's now mayor, the former majority leader, Lori Cumbo, with former assembly member Diana Richardson, with State Senator Zolmo Myri's office. And this is really an example of what happens when we put our minds together, when we form partnerships. So Grow NYC was such a success. We were able to get additional funding. They were able to get additional funding, and they are back in the district now as well. So we encourage everyone to go and support. One thing I also want to discuss very briefly is cease and desist zones. So the office had sent out notices with respect to cease and desist zones, which very briefly would create an opt-out directory. So if there are any homeowners who do not wish to be solicited by real estate agents about whether they want to sell their home, this is meant to curb predatory behaviors. So the governor had actually set up for a hearing that occurred, I believe, last week, in which testimony could be submitted. People could testify before the Department of State with respect to whether they wished for a cease and desist zone to be done for certain districts or for the entire borough of Brooklyn. So a number of different boards and individuals testified. Testimony is still being accepted through June. So at this point, we want to take the opportunity in terms of being able to supply additional testimony. We want to make sure we reach out to all of our neighbors. So if there are neighbors who wish to submit information with regards to their experiences with solicitations from real estate agents and developers, they can do that. But we also want to be able to submit testimony as a board. So this is being referred to the Housing Committee. They are going to be playing point on this. From my conversation with Ms. Newsom, the expectation is we will have a town hall in which people will be able to discuss this. And at some point as a board, we would like to establish a position in terms of our opinion, whether the district or Brooklyn in general should be a cease and desist zone. So there'll be additional information coming out with respect to that. Please, everyone, make sure you're looking out for that. And I want to finish off by, I think we're starting to see a lot of the elected officials are giving state of the district or state of the city, state of the state. We see these reports that are happening. We're not going to go that far because I think there are enough of those. But especially as this is the beginning of the year, I think we really I just wanted to just take a moment to reflect on the amazing work that this board did in 2021. I mean, very briefly, I mean, we did things that had, been on our list for a while. We were able to hire a phenomenal district manager. Let me repeat, we hired a phenomenal district manager. Dante, we are so happy that you were able to join our team. You have been a great add to this team. We already said that we had a great district office with Mia and Khalid. Dante has come in and he's working seamlessly with that team. He's bringing in a vast, a breadth of experience, which is really great, and is just helping to move this board forward in so many ways. So that's definitely one of the highlights of 2021. Something that was a vacancy that existed for over 5 years, and this board set our sights on it, and we said we're going to get this done, and it got done, and it got done well. And I think we have a great team that we set up as a result. 960 Franklin. This is a major issue that was hanging over our district for a very long time. And I want to say, and again, I want to thank Ms. Moses, who was the chair of the ULER committee for the last couple of years, who really kept a steady hand in terms of making sure that there was participation, there was information sharing, information gathering, being able to solicit testimony. As a board, we had been barred from actually going through and performing some of the charter mandated activities. But I think we went in with a lot of clarity of mind in terms of fairness, in terms of making sure we had a process where people could participate, where we would get the information that was necessary for this board to make a decision. And I think we did it. And I want to say that we've heard from a number of different places where the way we did it was just so professional. And the way this board addressed it, and the way we were thoughtful about it and respectful of the process, and all the people who were involved in the process as well. And I want to thank the board for being able to do that. Crown Heights Farm Stand, again, we jumped into the gap with the closure of Associated, and we've developed and we're continuing to develop solutions to help mitigate the impacts of that. I want to thank our Health and Social Services Chair for a wellness fair, which we were able to kick off our new year, which was phenomenal, well received. Those are the kinds of activities that that really distinguish this board. These are the kinds of activities that our district needs. And I want to thank our Health and Social Services Chair, Francisca Leopold, and her entire committee, and the board for supporting this and making that happen and be successful. Along those same lines, mass distribution pop-ups. The pandemic has been with us for a minute. And aside from just talking about policy or things that need to be done, this board has been about action as well. We've had members of the board, we've had our district office go and distribute masks to people in the community in the district to make sure that they were able to stay safe. So more than just talking about it, they walked the walk, and they did that. And I think that's a triumph and really a hallmark of this board. We were able to purchase, trash receptacles. So I think that's something that's very good. That's something concrete and solid that came out of this board in terms of we did have the funding that was there. And we made sure that as opposed to, okay, well, we're buying more paper or whatever else, we tried to get something that was actually going to benefit the district, that was needed in the district. And I want to thank our district manager, Dante Arnwine, and the team for making that come to fruition. That was phenomenal. The controls report, again, I think highlighted the fact that as a board, we are on the right path, in the right trajectory, doing the right things. I want to thank this board, and I want to thank this executive committee for the 2 times that I ran prior, the 3 times I ran prior, I guess. One of the things that we said that we wanted to do was improve the way our board operates. We wanted to make sure that there was transparency. We wanted to make sure people were able to participate to the best that we could. And I think we've accomplished that. And I think that the controls report really kind of underscored that. Last but not least, I do want to say that I think that I'm very proud of this board in the sense that, understanding the history of this board, there was a dark time where CV9 was really overlooked, underestimated, and set aside. I want to say that the change has been a 360 in terms of we are looked at as a board where people look at us as a model for responsiveness, for leadership, In terms of, I think even with respect to open meetings law, we've been proactive. We've written a number of resolutions and letters on the occasion. We've been very vocal about making sure that people understand that the pandemic is still very much here, and we need to make sure that people stay safe, but at the same time, we're still able to run. There were a couple of letters that were penned by our own district manager, and I think that it really speaks to the level of professionalism we do have as a board. Every time I hear our committee chair reports, it talks about the level of talent, intellect, intelligence that we have here, and it just makes me proud to be able to stand here and serve as the chair of the board. And I thank everyone for everything you do. So yeah, and I apologize. I know this is a rather lengthy chairman's check-in, but I thank everyone for your attentiveness, and I thank everyone for the hard work you do. At this time, I will entertain a couple of questions. Okay, we're going to ignore Christian, and we're going to ignore Mr. Almanor. Let me just take a look really quickly. Okay, Mr. Almanor, you have it, and then Christian, we recognize you.
My question is that I would have loved to hear a report from the safety committee and also the treasurer. So I don't know what's the situation. They are not part of the meeting today. So could see what's going on in that sector for the board.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Typically, Yakov would be here. He's not here this evening. Dante, do you have a report for the Public Safety Committee, or any action items they have?
I do not have a report. Report was not submitted to me. If I recall our conversations today, I don't think that the Public Safety Committee discussed an SLA application, but to extent for the committee, I wasn't there, so we'll have to refer to the minutes on that. And then for Dexter Roberts did inform me prior to this meeting that he wouldn't be here, just as a note for the record.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. So unfortunately, we don't have reports from them as yet. But I'm glad you mentioned that as well. And I would just we'll echo that to all the chairs. This is definitely a great time, and we value this time in terms of being able to get the reports from the different committees. But we also need to make sure that we're documenting and recording all the work that's being done, so that way everyone has access to it, and we see what's being discussed, and we can make those recommendations about those topics that need to be discussed and added to the agendas as well. So we will send a notice out to make sure that the minutes are all submitted. So you should all have them in advance of the community of the general board meeting. And if there are any updates, we'll allow for the chair and the chair of public safety and for the treasurer to provide any information as well. Okay, thank you. Christian, you had your hand before?
Sure, and thanks for your very comprehensive overview of the work we've been doing. There was just one thing that I would like to add that I didn't hear you mention, but I would be interested in the process of entertaining a motion to give the district manager vacation, because you've been working him pretty hard, Chair, and it'd be nice to we got to get this guy a vacation sometime. He's working overtime.
I absolutely agree. In 2023, I think well deserved.
That's all I got.
The description.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions? Okay, so in my report, I did have the one action item with respect to moving the bylaws amendment to the full board. So that's the one action item I have. Okay, so we are now going. Actually, and with that being said, I will entertain a motion at this point to move the bylaws amendment to the full board for consideration.
So moved.
I have it moved by Warren Burke. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Evelyn Williams. Is there any questions? Are there any questions with respect to that? Okay, hearing none. We will call the question. All those members of the executive committee in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any members of the executive committee present who wish to vote no? Please say your name. Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please record there are no votes. Are there any members of the executive committee who wish to abstain from this vote? Please say your name for the record. I hear no abstentions. Madam Secretary, please record this as a unanimous vote by all members of the executive committee that are present.
So moved, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, all right, so we are now going to move to the board agenda. We're now going to set the agenda for the January board meeting. The agenda I propose will be for the public session, the call to order, rules of conduct, we will have presentations. Dante, are there any presentations scheduled for the January meeting?
I think we have one that's tentative but not confirmed.
Okay, so we'll leave presentations open and we'll confirm if there is a presenter.
Excuse me, Fred, it's Warren.
Yes, go ahead,
Did
Warren.
you speak about the BP coming to the meeting?
I have not.
Well, this
And
is a
actually-
reminder.
Yes, thank you very much. And actually, this is an item that I had meant to talk about as well. I think we touched on it very briefly with respect to relationships. So we've had outreach. The district office has actually reached out to all the newly elected members. I think that we had turnover in almost every office. So we consistently invite the elected officials to come and speak. The Brooklyn Borough President has agreed to come and appear at our board meeting in January. So we're looking forward to having him. So he will be there. He will give some brief comments. We will entertain a couple of questions only because we do expect to have a full agenda of a number of items we need to do. But we are fortunate to have him. And also, I believe we are scheduled to have Councilmember Rita Joseph as well, who should be there. So we are going to allow time for them to address the board and the district. And again, in the interest of time, we're not going to be able to entertain a lot of questions, a couple of questions, to the extent possible, as long as it doesn't interrupt our agenda. But this is great in terms of very early on, we're establishing the relationships we need to have with our elected officials. That's something critical. We need to make sure we're working together as partners. And we're very excited to have them join us at our board meeting in January. And thank you very much for that reminder, Warren. Okay, continuing on in the agenda, so we have presentations. We will leave an opening for SLA applications once we confirm if there are any for this month. SLA applications. We will then have public commentary for 30 minutes. And then we will have acknowledgements. And I will advise right now, so the acknowledgements, we may have some slight deviation from the agenda depending on time constraints as well. So if we have a member, one of the elected officials who's there, because sometimes they're juggling multiple calendar items, they may come a little bit earlier in the agenda. So just as a note, in that sense. But acknowledgements, and then that will end the public session. We will go into the business session. In the business session, we will have the roll call. We will have the approval of the previous minutes. We will have committee chair reports, or committee reports. With respect to that, I will ask all the committee chairs to please make sure you have submitted all your reports to the district office by Friday. So this way, Dante, is Friday okay, or do you need it earlier?
Earlier is always better. Definitely no later than Friday.
No later than Friday, so this way the district office can compile them and make sure they go out. They're posted on the website and they go out to all the board members. What we want to make sure is that all the board members have the information in advance, so that way they can read them. If they have any questions, they can ask the questions at that time. We want to make sure that everyone has that information in advance.
Friday by noon, because Fridays are very busy in the board office. By noon gives us enough time to be able to disseminate that.
Duly noted. If you have not submitted already, Friday by noon is the deadline to have it to the district office so it can go out. When we get to the board meeting, committee reports, unless you have an announcement, we would ask that the written reports will be sufficient. If you have an announcement, you may do that as chairs. Please keep any reports or verbal reports less than a minute, if you can do it, please. Okay, so we have committee reports. We will have the district.
May I ask a quick question about that, Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Under the committee reports, then, is that when I should speak about the letter that we drafted and the trash receptacles, or would you like me to speak about that in a different time?
No, actually, that'll be the time you'll speak about it, and actually we'll make that a sub item on there. So we'll put down environmental committee recommendations.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. So environmental committee recommendations. There's a sub bullet on committee reports. And as a matter of fact, another sub bullet, nominations. So we will reopen the floor for nominations and take those at the January meeting.
Hey, Fred, it's Warren.
Yes, Warren.
Did you speak about Ms. Watson resigning from the committee?
No, I think that no, we have not spoken about that. Let me speak to the committee chair first, and any developments will be part of the report for nominations.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we have that environmental committee nominations will come from there. Okay, then we're going to go to district manager's report. And then we will go to the chair's report. Bullet point, we will talk about the Bylaws Amendment. We will talk about the, I'm sorry, let me just look again, 2021 accomplishments. Talk about board membership. Cease and desist zones. And yes, so we'll talk about those 4 items. Okay, after the chairman's report, we will have a treasurer's report. And actually, let's move that forward. After the district manager, we'll have the treasurer's report. With the approval, thank you. And actually, that's one item we should take care of this evening. With the approval for the extended Zoom license.
Chair, that would be under the treasurer's report.
Yes, correct. Approval for the Zoom license extension under the treasurer's report.
Thank you.
Okay, and that'll happen before the chair's report. Okay, after that, we will then, any unfinished business? New business? And we will then call for adjournment. Okay, are there any items that need to be added to this agenda? Okay, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adopt this agenda.
So move.
I have it moved by Nicholas Almanor. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have seconded by Evelyn Williams.
Excuse me, Fred, Nick is not a member of the executive board. Where is he? I'm getting old.
You are.
Yes, Nick. Nothing personal. I just want to make sure.
Okay. All right. Okay. Is there any other items that need to be added to the agenda? Seeing none, we call the question. All those members in favor, all those members of the executive committee in favor of adopting the agenda as stated, please say aye.
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 Are there any members of the executive committee who wish to vote no at this time? Please state your name for the record. Hearing none, please record. There are no votes in the negative. Are there any members of the executive committee who wish to abstain at this time? Please state your name for the record. I hear no abstentions. Please record that for the record. The motion carries. The agenda is adopted as stated. Okay, and we are now going to move on. Is there any other business for the executive committee to consider at this time?
It's Warren. I just want to apologize to Nick for my lapse of memory. And
Nick said he doesn't accept your apology.
Welcome to the club.
That's a memory.
My wife tell me the same thing. Short term memory loss.
Say that again, Nick.
Welcome to the club. My wife tell me that all the time. She tell me one thing and I forgot to tell me the next minute.
Okay, so it's just another person who loves you. That's it.
Okay. All right. All right. So seeing no other business this time, I just want to thank everyone again for this first meeting of 2022. I'm looking forward to a lot of great work coming out of the committees and from this board. It is my pleasure to work with you, to serve you, and I thank you. And I hope everyone stays well, mask up, get the vaccines, and let's stay safe. At this time,
I have one announcement.
Go ahead, Warren.
The website for the free test kits has opened, and you can go on. You can Google test kits government to get the link, but it's open now. So they said they announced it was going to be open tomorrow. So I think it's a soft opening. So anyone who is here, please do that now before it gets bombarded. Thank you.
Excellent. And Warren, if you could send that to the district office so that way we can make sure it goes out.
I have all the information. I'll send it out to the full board.
On top of his game. That's what I'm talking about.
And to the community also, right?
Of course.
Yes. We put everything in our trust about that.
Is it possible to do that ASAP?
Like right now, ASAP?
Yes, because tomorrow will be bombarded.
I think that I can do it, yes.
You're the man. Thank you.
Okay, phenomenal. Thank you so much for that. Okay, All right, and with that being, okay, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, so move.
Moved by Ms. Williams. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Almore.
okay.
You guys are the team today, huh? Williams and Almore are the team today. Okay. All right. Moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I hear a majority. We stand adjourned. The time is 8:52. Everyone, thanks so much. Take care now.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Have a
Good night.
good night,
Good night.
Mr. President.